Goes live.
Spiritual awakening.
Oh. At the stage. All right, here we are. It's been a rough day today. We're 5 minutes late. You know how electronics are.
Yeah.
And videos and
Still
all the rest
learning.
that goes along with this. So this Paranormal Triage, I'm Brenda.
Ryan?
And obviously we're a little distracted. So we haven't dropped any videos lately in light of everything that's gone on in the last couple of weeks. We did kind of drop a little video on Charlie Kirk and just kind of what that meant to us. And we're not necessarily followers of Charlie Kirk, but always on our Facebook page, we always see the fallout of some of this stuff and how people feel. And so we dropped a little video on that, and hopefully some of you got something out of that. And we did kind of take a turn in what we're doing as far as, yes, we're still going to do investigations and we're still pursuing our spiritual awakening, our journey. And we decided that we were going to throw some things in between what we do to kind of explain, the consequences of what we're doing and what we're not doing and what certain things mean. So
yeah, there's the whole spiritual religious debate going on right now with what we're doing is right, is okay, what it all means. And it's kind of like a new revival to some of the kind of older thought process we had about the Bible and biblical meanings to paranormal and investigations. And are we not supposed to be communicating with spirits? Are we inadvertently doing evil things? We've got, our personal take, which we've shared many times. Everybody kind of already knows that, but in the paranormal community, we've had people we've talked to and they believe very similar to us. And then in our religious community, our church and our pastor and stuff like that has his take on it. And surprisingly to me, he was very open and honest.
Yeah, he's very open-minded and
that he really didn't know some of the answers to our questions.
Yeah.
Whether what we were doing was good or bad. He believes that people can communicate with spirits at some point, but didn't know to what level that meant.
Yeah. So that was kind of nice, because generally when you ever mention whether it's somebody doing the paranormal or a medium or a psychic or a shaman, you always get that, oh, everything's demonic and that's it, and you shouldn't do any of it. But yet it's so prevalent in society right now, and it has been, especially the shaman side of it. But mediums go way back to the stuff that we've investigated, way back to the 1700s. So I mean, it's been around forever, but then biblically, I don't know. That's kind of
I don't
weird.
know. And the thing is that, everyone that's watched us knows that we are spiritual people in ourselves, and we have our religious beliefs and our biblical beliefs, and, how we were raised up in the religious world. I was raised Catholic and Brenda was raised Jehovah's Witness, and how we both kind of separated from that mainstream of thinking of those individual kind of religious groups. And then, I would just call myself kind of like a watered down Christian at this point.
Yeah.
But-
I'm not a label person. I don't like labels. I feel like it causes
Yeah.
division. But at some point, yeah, I don't know if you have to be a label. I don't know if Christian's really necessarily a label. But anyway,
I think that's part of the debate, right?
Yeah.
But that brings up with what are we doing in our paranormal investigations? Is it leaning on the demonic side? Should we be doing it or should we not? Right.
Yeah.
So when you start talking to people of different religious beliefs, specifically within the Christian values, right? You've got very much of the Bible says, don't talk to dead people, right? Don't seek out the future. Don't do those things, right? So, we're not the kind of people that want to purposely go seek out mediums, although, it's happened.
We've had our experience
But-
with them, but it's not like we call them up and say, "Hey, I need to know what next week's going to be like." Because
we're
this
not-
week really sucks. So
We don't have a tarot card reader on speed dial. We know some people that do that, and they're nice people, but that's not our style, right? But I would say the last 6 to 8 months, we have had our personal kind of struggles and challenges with spirituality and what we're doing. Is it all these questions? And then in the last, 2 weeks, 10 days, whatever it is, I feel like the whole spiritual warfare subject in question has really kind of like come home.
yeah, and you kind of see it in the paranormal world. You see people kind of making these little shifts. They're not huge, but you see a little bit of shift in the paranormal communities. That might be a different opinion, but that's kind of how I've seen it. Just how people leave comments on our page and stuff like that. So, but it kind of has led us into other topics that we want to talk about.
There's a lot of different topics, and when it came to my attention that there was more to the Bible, what some people say, than just what are the books of the Bible, the book of Enoch, and then there's several more.
I think
and then
there's 6 more chapters. I think in total there's 7 chapters that never were put in the Bible because we weren't supposed to know that stuff. So astrology was part of that, and I think.
But by who? That's the question. Who decided one day that supposedly these were written, the words of Jesus or God or the disciples? So why did they eliminate them? And that's part of the question. But we run in different types of circles, the paranormal circle, and then all sorts of other stuff that we do in our lives because we're just crazy people that can't stop doing everything.
Yeah, and because of all this, we met a lot of people that do a lot of different things, and that's one of our guests. Well, no, we only have one guest today, but in one of my multiple personalities back here, our guest today, she's a shaman, and she does healing work. Not only, I would assume, spiritual and physically, because when we're being attacked in the spiritual world, especially when we do this kind of work and we don't really understand how to take care of ourselves, or to, you go do an investigation and you don't really know how to cleanse yourself. Because for me, I just rely on God, but I don't need crystals and the whole 9 yards to do that. I mean, they're fun, and burning incense and all that smells good. But at the end of the day, for me, I just, I have to be strong in my faith, which I'm absolutely not. I'm working on that. But
that brings up a bunch of questions about what does that stuff mean? Because it means something different to different people. They have their spiritual beliefs. Can it be blended? Should it not be blended?
Yeah.
Those are all questions that we have. And if I have that question, I'm sure there's someone else out there that also has that question.
Yeah. So we'll just get to our guest. So like I said, she's a shaman that we've met through, we do some speaking classes and stuff like that. And I'm sure you saw me post some of those things. And we met her through those speaking class because we take the class from her son. And he's a really cool dude. If you ever want to take that class, you can contact us. We'll give you that information. So yeah, this is Phyllis. I know she has a whole name, but Russo is the only one I spelled out. So Phyllis Russo.
Are we going to play that video real quick?
Yeah, we're going to play that video and then we'll bring her on. So
okay,
here we go. All right, so let's see if we can get this right here.
Hey.
All right, hey Phyllis, how are you?
I'm doing great. I loved your intro. I love what you guys were talking about.
I actually found it fascinating. And while you were talking, I was like looking up stuff. So I like that.
So we met you through your son's
Double down
it
speaking
turned
class.
into a transformational speaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that was class 2.
Yes. We were the second class.
Yeah. And just to give you some props, you are the champion of that class. So give you an applause.
I can't hear the applause. Can they be a
Yeah.
little bit louder? I appreciate it. Yeah. I at least there were other judges. It wasn't like my son was like the only judge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, there was some tough judges that were part of that program.
yes.
Yeah.
Another one
Yeah.
by the name of Brenda Woods, I believe.
Oh. No, I was the chicken of the class, so I wasn't the first to raise my hand.
Yeah, I never was either. So
Yeah, I'm always like the wallpaper.
but that is how we met.
Yes, yes.
So
And
I'm go ahead, because I'm like I almost want to jump in because I was listening to you guys talk, but go ahead.
yeah,
Well,
so
how about we start with so what do you call yourself, and when did you start doing that stuff? And then I also know some of your background with, your medical type experience, and is it connected to that or not? Because I kind of find that kind of a fascinating question as well.
So it's kind of separate, but it is who I am. So I've been a functional medicine. I started out as a chiropractic physician, added in functional medicine. So I do a lot of, things like lab work, and I work specifically in that direction with autoimmune patients. And around 2011, I went on a different journey. I traveled out of the country. There was some beautiful temples in Malta. That's where I lived, in Malta. And somehow I got connected to shaman. It actually found me. I mean, I asked the question to God, God, I think there's more to me than just chiropractics. And I did move, and the shaman came to me. So I had a shaman teacher, and then started incorporating that in my chiropractics, incorporated it in my, I do acupuncture as well. So I'm an acupuncturist, and I'm a counselor. So when I was a chiropractic physician, I would try to figure out whatever I could do to fix somebody. So that started out with, let me add functional medicine. Let me add acupuncture. Well, that didn't get fixed, so let me do this. So anything I could do to heal. And one of the things that I knew and that I saw was, even when an MVA patient, a motor vehicle accident patient, came in, there was an emotional component. And there was what was happening in your life at the time you even had the accident. And then, of course, you want to treat the emotional part and the pain that they're experiencing, the physical pain.
Yeah.
It coincided after the accident. So I became a counselor, so a mental health coach, and combined it all, and then left my practice. Moved to Malta. Actually, I moved to Dallas, then Malta, and then came back and tried to incorporate it together. Now, more recently, Dr. Livewell was sort of a separate entity to the Mama Shaman. And I was sort of bipolar. It's the best way I can put it. Because on one aspect, I was the Mama Shaman, which that is the mamashaman.com. And then I was Dr. Livewell, which is dr-livewell.com. And they were very separate. And I separated it for the very reason you're talking.
Okay.
When I first moved here to Omaha, the shaman work, there's a big spiritual community, but to be honest, I don't even like being a part of it, because it does have a lot of tarot readers and people who are kind of half butt at what they do anyway. They've been in the corporate world, and all of a sudden they want to be a healer. And so, but I was out of the picture for several years because of the pandemic.
Right.
And so I said, what am I going to do? And I went back and I prayed. I thought I heard his voice, and I'm sure I did. Like, I'm sure the direction was exactly the way the Lord wanted it to be. But I went more to the functional medicine side. And that's then I worked on that. I put together this incredible program with a designer and a tech guy, and it does come off the ground. I mean, it did come off the ground. I had some wonderful members, but I was just having a hard time almost in my heart. Like, I still felt drawn to the counseling as the shaman. And I got sick. The only best way to tell you is I got really ill about 3 months ago, to the point where I was in pain every day. I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't think straight. I was just in pain.
Yeah.
And all I was able to do was pray and talk to the Lord. And already this beginning of this year, I started going back to church. Wonderful fellowship here in town. Very Bible-based. We read an entire scripture for the teaching of that day. And, or I'm sorry, like an entire chapter usually. And I just started like, how can I do this shaman work and be a Christian? And after being as ill and really hearing the word of God, I listened a lot to Jim, not the old Jim Baker with 1K and no Tammy Faye. That guy's, the other one's really old and obviously kind of crooked, but this guy is quite amazing. He's very funny too. I think you'd love him. But he talked in a slightly different way where it wasn't religious. He even used the word, like, even our own Christianity and the religion that's out there, it's almost like in the Bible when everybody was by the rules and Jesus came and said, no, we just want love. We don't want punishment. We don't want rules. And the church has become like the Bible. And so what I loved about his preaching was, first of all, interestingly enough, he used words like realm and dimensions. And he kind of used some of these spiritist words.
Yeah.
But within scripture and within the truth of true Christianity.
Right.
And so that kind of, I just kept listening and listening. And now I listen to an audio before I go to bed of just scripture. And I've been a born again Christian. I'm Jewish, and I've been a born again Christian since Anthony was born.
Right.
Not quite when he was born, somewhere around there. And so when you brought up all your stuff, like, am I doing it right? This is what I've experienced for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And so to get back to answer your question about Dr. Livewell, I haven't forgotten it, but I have gone more, I've gone more to the shaman side. And I don't forget to tell these people, I want you to eat correctly. If you're going to have a good spirit-filled world, and I want to say this to the entire Christian world, because you walk into church and everybody's overweight.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you love the Lord and this is the body that he created, take care of it.
Yeah.
Pay attention to it. So to answer your question, Ryan, I do both. But I am now coming in from the shaman side.
So you said Dr. Livewell's more of the chiropractic and the counseling, the therapy, and then your mama Shama is more of I thought you used the term medicinal healing.
No.
Or did I get that backwards?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the two?
You got a little bit backwards. So Dr. Livewell is more functional medicine.
Okay, there you go.
Where we talk about nutrition, diet, herbs to make whatever the problem is, herbs, certain nutrients, things that you can take. So that would be the more medicinal side, but it's holistic. That's where I do lab work, blood work, like that. The shaman work is the counseling, some of the rituals of the shaman. But I incorporate herbs because it's shaman work as well. But most of it starts with counseling. It's more, my background in counseling is strong. And so I do more of that. And then I incorporate a journey with the drum. So I'll hear more, I'll prophecy more with the drumming.
Okay.
So, for instance, I've had a client recently. I've had a bunch of clients recently, but for whatever reason, I'm bringing this one up. He's just broken from his childhood. He's got a lot of childhood trauma, and I've already done house clearing on his house. His wife brought me in a couple years ago and cleared the house of some sort of possible demonic spirits, certainly unwanted spirits, and that's kind of how the shaman looks at it.
Right.
But he just got broken again, like he wasn't right in his life. And we started going through his childhood. And so one of the things when I counsel, besides just being the therapy counselor and I love talk therapy, but it only gets you so far.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the shaman journey allows for prophecy, allows to see visions, allows to see the client more clearly, and then allows everything to go from the unconscious to the conscious. And then you can, that's the other thing. There was a beautiful sermon about shifting. And just like you said, your community is shifting right now. And as he's talking about the shifting, he's saying, let go of this and let go of that. And I'm like, but sometimes you need some counseling with that. Sometimes you even need that deeper work, that work where you can talk to a seer, talk to someone who can see the unconscious so that it can rise to consciousness, so that you can go, okay, I turn my life to the Lord. And now I even understand why I've had so many blocks to it.
Right. Right. So I guess people would be going, well, what does all this have to do with the paranormal? But, we're doing that because you just said it, you're clearing houses, and, we do a lot of house calls, for lack of better words.
Mm-hmm.
We're not stealing from Ghost Adventures, but we do a lot of private homes, and we're not shamans. We don't clear houses, and we don't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a couple people that want us to come back, and we might have to have that talk, healthier lifestyles, get somebody that really knows what they're doing, because you can really mess up some people if you don't have the knowledge or the understanding. I mean, we have the understanding, we see it, so we get it, but we don't have the knowledge to heal that part of what people are going through. So, demons are very prevalent in this world. They can't walk on this earth, but they can definitely affect the way they live. They can get in us, not as like, I need an exorcism, but they can oppress you. And I think that's a part of a lot of this. And I think that's what we're seeing on our page. A lot of these people that we see that are just suffering from medical conditions and mental health conditions. And, they air all their stuff on Facebook. And I really feel bad for them, because it's like, if you're doing some of this stuff, you got to take care of yourself. So.
And they don't know what they're, it's like, I don't know if you watched the memorial today, but one of the many speakers is like, I think it was his wife, that they don't know what they do, right? It's what Jesus said on the cross.
We do not know what they do. Yeah.
And so when you look at all the mental health problems in this, I mean, she forgave the killer.
Yeah.
And then she said that. And in that, you just, there's so much mental illness right now that, by the way, a lot of it comes from the toxins in the air. A lot of it comes from the toxins in our soil and in our food. If we could get all that cleaned up, that mental illness will go down.
Yeah, I believe that 100%. Yeah.
Will it be fully eradicated with that? No, because I think there's also genetics.
Yeah, and we're also living a life of convenience. I mean, how many fast food places are on the corner of your neighborhood? Probably like 10. So we're just eating all this crap food because it's almost cheaper and more easier to do that, because you're both, husband and wife are working, or whoever your partner is, you're working all the time, and that leaves very little time for your children and, eating properly. And it's expensive to eat good. You'd think buying some vegetables would, be a little cheaper, but it's absolutely not,
Well, here's the deal. It's not as expensive as I think people think, because one, we eat too much.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you size your proportions, I get meat, regenerative meat. So that's on regenerative farms. It's organic fed and grass fed, pasture raised. and I spend, I don't know, $140 every 6 to 8 weeks. Now that's just me, so I'm not a family of a bunch, but that's not bad for all the meat, and it goes on. Like,
Yeah.
so it really isn't as bad as you might think it is.
Yeah.
If you took away all the other crap.
Yeah. If you took away all the stuff you wasted money on in the eating out and all that, it adds up quite a bit. And you don't really realize it until you actually look at your bank account and you start adding it all up yourself and writing it down. It's like, holy cow.
Absolutely.
No pun intended.
So this brings up, I had like 2 or 3 different trains of thought that all changed like all at the same time. So when you obviously you have like different angles that you kind of approach things, right? So in your experience with the people that you're working with, when it comes to mental health and paranormal things that have happened to them, what's the breakdown in percentages of what you think is an actual, like, okay, like we talked about, there's the medical stuff, right? They've got imbalances in their system, whether that's from nutrition issues or hormonal imbalances or something like that, versus how much of that is actually the traumas being caused from something that's not good spiritually.
Boy, you're a guy asking the question. Do you want a percentage?
Yeah. Well, what's the breakdown? Like in your experience, are more people having mental health issues because they've got imbalances and they just can't kind of process their traumas, or are they unable to process their traumas because they've got oppressive paranormal things happening to them?
So that's a fascinating question. Okay.
Kind
I
of
think
comes down to this, like this people I was talking about this, we're in a spiritual battle right now, right? Between good and evil.
okay.
So it's like, that's where I'm
think
going.
I think I got it. I think first of all, part of the spiritual battle is all the toxins in the world. I think the demonic spirits brought all that in. So that's already principalities and powers challenging each other. That's
Okay.
number one. So I think that there is evil that designed that so that we would be sick, so that we would be mentally ill.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I guess, what came first, the chicken or the egg? I kind of think that the spiritual battle probably came first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're so toxic, we can't even find God even in us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so that's part. So I'm not even putting the emotional part in there, because it's the first part I'm putting into spiritual. The second part I'm putting in is more physical, right? Because we're eating this terrible food. So the spirit, the demonics, the whatever, satanic, brought in all these toxins. Now we're eating all these toxins. Now we're having mental health. Now, there's also straight spirit to mental health. There might be a skip in it, because what I'm saying is that not everyone, I mean, there are people who eat really well and still get attacked spiritually.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess spiritual would be kind of number one.
Yeah.
But we don't see it that way.
Yeah.
But you asked the question. And so if I really thought about it, it's all principalities and powers. It's all war against good.
Right. And I might even take it off track a little bit, but I think the stuff that we are seeing with our eyeballs, the visual stuff that we're seeing every day, and we're becoming so desensitized to certain things, the movies we watch, the music we listen to. I love music, but there's some that I won't listen to. But, we have all these movies that are very violent, and things on Facebook all the time coming up on reels, and it's so violent, and that's traumatic in itself. Yep. Just like what happened to Charlie Kirk. I would never wish that on anybody to witness. As first responders, we come after the fact and we understand what that looks like, but to actually watch those things go down. But you see those things on Facebook and on Twitter and all the other platforms every single day. So I think that whole combination is just opening that door wide open to be oppressed. And
do you know the other thing that I think of is the games?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The games. Yeah, absolutely. My grandson, we just had a talk after all this happened, and he agreed to delete a couple of his games. So, and he didn't fight me on it. He's like, yeah, okay, grandma, I get it.
Good. I like
So
that.
I was happy, but I play Call of Duty, and the Call of Duty I play is not as violent as the majority of the games. But it's kind of hard not to justify playing because it's like, oh, I'm just having fun, but it's just being desensitized. Or it's like, oh, I'm just having that In-N-Out hamburger for the second time this week. It isn't that big of a deal. Well, it is a big deal in the whole spectrum of things, you
Yeah.
know. But we've been kind of desensitized and kind of brainwashed, for lack of better words, that these things are all okay for us, you know.
Yep.
And
I think I've had an In-N-Out burger about 30 years ago, maybe even more than that.
Yeah. And no dig on In-N-Out. So
They're not in Omaha.
That is true. But I used to live in California. So yeah.
So, okay, this might be kind of out there, but you're talking about being desensitized and all these things that we're exposing ourselves to. I would venture to say that the healthier we are mentally, the healthier we are physically, the healthier we are spiritually, that when we witness horrific things, that trauma is easier to process. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Okay.
You know, I might not have said that until this just happened.
Because when you think about the country right now and the people that are on the polar opposite sides of how they're reacting to things, makes me wonder if some of those people are spiritually unhealthy, physically unhealthy, mentally unhealthy, and it's affecting them to that. They're stuck in that kind of revolving door. And then those of people that are on, the this is such a horrible thing side of it, right? When you witness something that's traumatic, like Brenda said, we witness that stuff all the time being in the first responders. Difference is that we're responding to the emergency, so we're not seeing the emergency happen. So that's kind of a new experience. But if you're spiritually healthy, mentally healthy, physically healthy, not only nutrition wise, but your body is where it's supposed to be, it might be easier to process those traumas. And I've realized that our country is probably way spiritually unhealthy, and mentally, very much so, mentally unhealthy and physically unhealthy. So
Well,
how do we merge all those things together in the midst of people saying, don't do paranormal, that's evil. Those are all devils and evil spirits you're talking to. When we go to someone's place of business or their house and they've called us there multiple times, they're obviously seeking something specific. And we have to kind of counsel them through, well, not everything you're experiencing might be a good or positive thing. So we need to talk through that. We're not the kind of people who are prepared for that. We're more of the, hey, yeah, we caught the evidence. There's definitely something happening here. So maybe we should put you in touch with someone that can help you. How do we merge all that together and keep everybody sane?
Let me, gosh, there's so many different ways to address that. First of all, from a biblical perspective, there is a spiritual realm. There is another realm, and they can be demonic. And so that's all you're exposing. And I think that ultimately can be a good thing, right? Or there's spirits out there, they're not necessarily demonic, they're lost.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have seen that. And so there are those of us who have a gift. And that is, we can see that. So the first thing is, where did the gift come from? Right? I've gotten even more clear that my gift is from the Lord. And so with that said, anybody can, I do house clearing. So I go into I just did it yesterday. I go into people's homes, and this one was a little bit tough for me because she said something about, I always ask the question, what religion are you? And I do that first, what'd you grow up on? And where's your spirituality now? Because when I go into a house and when I start to drum and when I start to do the ritual of sending these these spirits home to heaven, I bring in Jesus. I don't want any extraneous. Remember, you guys are walking into this spiritual realm that not a lot of people walk into. It could be demonic. It could be just unwanted. It could be a lost one. It could be dangerous, right?
Yeah.
And so, but you have a gift of being able to see it and or at least produce evidence about it.
Right.
Now, when people start asking you questions, you're right. That might you might not know what to do. The way shamans look at it, and the way I look at it from the Lord's perspective, from the maybe biblical, we want to get those lost souls across. They have families and loved ones that are on the other side, and that's what I do. But getting back to the person yesterday, when I said to them, okay, I want to bring Jesus in, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, Jesus is my protector, she immediately said no. Now she has I think you've heard of Wiccan.
Yes.
So Wiccan is more witchcraft. And I almost didn't want to go to begin with, but I felt the Lord saying, you never know whose eyes you can open to me. And that's why you guys, that's why what I do is that you could walk into a house that people are needing your help. And I mean, I'd be open about Jesus.
Yeah.
Because we never know what we do, where we go, and who we're going to touch. And I love to just go, you know what? I'd love to counsel all the people in the Christian church, to see them go through their past traumas and to see them go from the unconscious to the conscious. But you know what? The Lord's putting us out into the world. We just got to take him with us. We got to make sure that he is the one we keep our eyes on. And so I almost walked out, like there was something in me that said, look, you've got a big old entity on the top, and you've got a couple people that need to go home.
Yeah.
So, and you've got there was a daughter involved that also saw these spirits, and we just want to clean it up.
So were they being harmed, or were these people being harmed physically, or is this more of an oppression work?
No, it was, I mean, the person who called me in is sick. She might herself have thyroid issues, foggy headedness, things go wrong in the house. Things are going wrong with her job right now. I mean, she's being attacked.
Yeah.
She's being attacked. Now, she knows she's being attacked, but she doesn't get the God side and the demon side. She's just being attacked. And so she's coming from a place of, kind of putting her, and I don't mean to make fun of her. My heart goes to her, but it is that place of any of us who don't know our childhood traumas, like don't know that they still live in us.
Right.
We still put our hands on our hips and go, I'm being attacked.
Yeah.
And the truth is, yes, you are, but there's ways to handle it. One, to really understand it, to understand why we unconsciously kind of bring that on, and to be in God's grace. And to be honest, I don't think she's in God's grace. Now, I understand why. This is a person that was raised in a very controlling church. As a matter of fact, I think it was, oh no, I was going to say it was in one guy's church, but it was a controlling church. It was an offshoot of another religion or whatever. And so she has such a bad experience, and so controlling and punishing. I mean, punishing.
Yeah.
And there's just some sects out there that SECTS. You know what I said? There's some sects out there that do that. That they're punishers, and that they're more demonic than they are Christian. And so when they talk to you guys about it, you just take Jesus with you. You pray before you walk into those houses. And then when people go, well, I don't have a bad spirit. They're kind of nice. No, that spirit ultimately really does want to go home.
Yeah.
want to go to heaven, but they're stuck. And I usually what spirits you guys see are spirits that do a quick death,
Yeah.
aneurysms, MIs, heart attacks,
Yeah.
anything that's young children that die from like childhood illnesses.
Right.
You see a lot of young children roaming around, spirit-wise, roaming around houses. But it's a gift to see spirits, and it's a gift to be able to, it's such an honor to be able to issue souls through the other side that are stuck.
Yeah. That's kind of, it's kind of weird because, our house is very active and we're convinced that we've seen my daughter. We've made videos on it. We have the video of the manifestation that we have, but people either want to call it cat hair, which it absolutely was not. But then, other people just say, nope, that's strictly demonic. There's nothing. I think I was oppressed for a little while because we didn't understand it. But that's kind of mellowed out a little bit. So it's kind of hard to say it's all demonic when it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah. So let me give you a differentiation. Family can come back. Family can communicate. It's the strangers that don't belong. Even if they're not demonic, they don't belong.
Yeah.
They're just like hanging around at the house because they don't know where else to go.
Yeah. And we've been told more than a few times that we have a portal in our house or some kind of gateway, because we do have another video on our YouTube channel where you just see all these orb-like things flowing out of my bedroom. And it's in an area where we feel like it's most active. And they were just everywhere. And it wasn't dust. We live in a neighborhood. So, and our room is pretty,
So I'm OCD when it comes to some of this stuff, especially when it comes to like the scientific analysis of things and trying to debunk it. So it's like I've taken every tool and precaution to try to say, is that environmental? Is it, light off the camera? What have you? Hours of work going into it, and there's no way to prove that some of that stuff is not paranormal. Right. And it's not only that we're capturing it and I'm seeing it, and I don't have any special gifts. I mean, I guess, I'm sensitive, but not sensitive paranormally. I just am a sensitive person. So I can pick up on body language and I kind of feel that more than someone else would see body language. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel stuff in the atmosphere of like Brenda does. So when I can see her body language and how I can tell that the invisible environment around her is making her act a certain way, and then I capture video evidence, I know it's real. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stuff that we take when we go to play investigations, people's houses, places of business, that kind of stuff. My question to you is, when someone tells you all of that stuff you're capturing, yeah, it's paranormal, but it's demonic. No ifs, ands, or buts. They are stuck in that whole demonic thing because they say the Bible says so, and they quote something out of the Bible, right? How do we, I'm not looking for a way to argue with them, but I'm looking for a way to find some truth in that it's not always demonic.
I don't know where they've pulled that in the Bible and scripture.
They talk about, don't talk to psychics, don't talk to, they always kind of point that out, and they talk to that you can't speak to the dead. That's one of the things that they say, but I
don't remember scripture very well, but we have read it. I wish I should have wrote down where we got that from, because our pastor asked that too. What scripture is that? Because I read that the dead have no place here. So I had to go find that. So
I'm gonna. Who is more Christian than Charlie Kirk?
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, and so they're talking to him. They had 100,000 people, and they're talking to Charlie. Like, she's gonna feel his presence.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying it's not. I'd love to know. I think somebody's brought, and there is. Let's put it this way: there are scripture. I agree. I don't go to psychics because that's not prophesying,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And my future is none of my business. It's only God's business.
Right.
He's the only one that knows my line. So I don't go to psychics. tarot readers, I have a very dear friend that reads tarot. And when she used to do it with me, it was more instruction. So it's also the way people do it. For her, when I told her, I don't want to know anything about the future, because one, it's none of my business. It's a God's business. And two, it is scripturally based, that I don't need to know. And so when she did tarot with me, it was just instructional. It was almost like talking to a counselor and getting advice for the day or for what was going on in life at that time. That's all.
Right.
I think it's also in our heart. First of all, the shaman is not necessarily in the Bible. It's not at all in the Bible.
Right.
And the only thing that's in the Bible is that a shaman does is divination. And I was taught that, but I don't do it.
Right.
Because I felt that it was unscriptural.
So
again, seeing, here's the thing. You see what you see.
yeah.
You love the Lord. And so, I just think sometimes it's broader. I think that people, and yes, there are demonic spirits, and the activity can be demonic, right? It
Right.
can be witchcraft. But then there's that part that we're helping other people. And I do believe that it's important that we talk about the love of our life, which is Christ.
Right.
And so that's it. It might be maybe there are demonic spirits there, but that's where you guys come in and say, hey, you guys, you have a bad spirit here. I suggest you get rid of it.
Right.
And then, hey, turn them on to me. And it is scary. I mean, and by the way, because I knew I was going into somebody's home that believed in witchcraft or Wiccan. And so I asked for about 4 people. I asked who just prayed for me, kept me strong. And I brought in Jesus, even though Jesus doesn't sound good to her because she was controlled and punished and all that sort of stuff. I mean, it was terrible. When I hear her story, it's terrible. And I might have turned away from God too. But she saw me, and she saw how much I cared about her daughter, about letting this young gal who was the spirit go. And by the way, it was so clear when you talk about clarity, Ryan, and you know, right? I would say, okay, both her daughter and I knew exactly where the spirit was.
Right.
Like, I didn't say, oh, it's over there. And she goes, no, it's over there. No, it's over there. And both of us, like, things happened that just wouldn't happen if it wasn't real.
Right.
It wasn't that time to say, okay, now you get to go home.
Right.
That's the beauty of it all. It's such an honor.
So I guess you probably already answered my question now that you're saying all this. I was going to ask you what the difference was between what you do as a shaman and an exorcist, even though I think exorcists are from the Catholic religion. I'm not real.
Well, when you really look at the history, as far as the research I've done, they've got the new Catholic Church and the old Catholic Church, right? One believes in the Pope, one doesn't, right? But the new Catholic Church, which believes in the Pope, believes that only certain bishops are ordained to perform exorcisms. Yet there's a lot of people out there that say they are an exorcist, right? Or demonologist and things like that. And it's like, there's no college out there that you go to study demonology, right? So you have to take it for a grain of salt. And then that's the other thing too, is who other than maybe people don't believe in the Catholic Church, right? I've got a bone to pick with the Catholic Church over certain things. So I don't know if I want to trust every priest out there that tells me only this bishop can do an exorcism, right? So,
See, and I was raised Jehovah's Witness, so we don't believe in anything except for God. I mean, which is great, but they don't do anything, and everything else is like when I was raised, I was cut off from the world basically, in every way, and it was a little traumatizing.
Well, and that kind of brings us back to this whole point of who do you believe in, and what is right and what is wrong as far as
Mm.
doing paranormal investigations, trying to communicate with spirits to understand if it's something there so we can refer people to get the right kind of help,
Mhm.
and just prove or disprove that they're actually experiencing it. Maybe it's all in their head and it's more of a mental health thing than it is a paranormal thing,
Oh,
right?
and by the way, sometimes it is.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I believe that we are actually kind of equipped to do this, although we are not, doing the kinds of things that you were doing. But we are naturally in our day jobs first responders. So it's
Yeah.
like we're kind of used to like getting that first call,
Yeah.
jumping in there, triaging the situation, figuring out what's going on with it. Is it really paranormal activity? Is it a mental health issue? Is it the branch scratching on the side of the house that's making them hear noises, right?
Yeah, I think we have a calling. We just don't know. We haven't polished that yet.
Well, I know. I mean, and that's kind of the reason why I was really happy you agreed to talk to us, because, you obviously kind of ride that line of, you know, you're doing shaman work, which, like you said, there really isn't nothing in the Bible that says this is what, this is, I'm going to name this person a shaman and they're going to go off and do this stuff. There wasn't any of the disciples that did that. There's no writings about that. But yet you still are very true and deep with your Christian faith and believe in Christ and Jesus. And that's kind of how we are, and trying to figure out, like, everyone's telling us this is bad. Don't do it. You're doing evil things and you're defying God's word. And I'm trying to
I know.
find a good way to tell people, no, we're not.
First of all, the first thing is coming to grips with it yourself, because I think we're being influenced by the outside world, and ultimately it's that. And that's why I'm saying, when I was so sick for the 2 months and I really couldn't talk to any other humans, I couldn't go to church, I couldn't talk to any other humans, I couldn't even talk to my son, because I never even fully know what he feels about it.
Yeah.
Him being a Christian as well. Actually, I'll be honest with you, I walked away, and that's when I went to Dr. Livewell, because he said something and I felt very judged by it. And then I just felt judged. But it wasn't until literally 3 months ago, or whenever it was, that I was in so much pain, and that I had only one choice, and that was to pray and to listen to pastors. And I just finally came to grips and hearing his word, the same as yours. And by the way, you do have a gift. You said it, you said, you even if it's body language, whatever it might be, even your gift of technicality is a gift, because it proves it. Like, I can't always, well, you know what? I've just pulled the spirit out. How do I prove that? People like you is how I prove it. And so that is your gift. And somewhere along the way, you're also giving solace to people. You're giving comfort. You're giving support just by finding these things.
Right.
And so, again, we feel like, yes, we're bound. There's two things. You're bound by the rules of certain churches, and then there's the word.
Right.
And one of the things we always want to go back to is the word, and the New Testament, even that much more so. So remember, a lot of this comes from the Old Testament. And like I said, I'm Jewish, so I was raised more on the Old Testament. And Jesus came to save us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not always bound by the rules. We are bound by the love we have for him and the love he has for us.
Right.
And actually, more so, the love he has for us.
Right.
And so it's actually, we're not bound by the love we have for him. We're bound by the love. It's a good bind, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so he sees our heart.
Right.
And that's what I came to in these it started in June for me. And I'm going to tell you, I'm an old broad. Like, I'm still going through this. And I just turned another age, so I'm getting closer to 70. And I'm still going through this. I'm still going through that. I mean, I don't feel it right now, which, when I was able to handle Charlie Kirk's death, I didn't do a lot of crying, because I know he's with the Lord. I mean, I was aghast at first because he's so incredibly talented and because he's so good at what he does. And then my first thing was, oh no, we're never going to get another Charlie Kirk. And of course we never will.
Yeah.
There's going to be other people that will rise. And
Right.
so, but I took it better because I became, in these last 2 months, so secure with God and so secure with my faith with him that I was able to handle that better.
Right.
Able
Right.
to handle, and I don't even know if the killer is the killer, to be honest, but if he is, I'm going to go with that story right now. I love the fact how she forgave him. And I know
Yeah.
I'm going off on a tangent.
Well, you can't move forward. Like I said, we have, over 2,000 people that come to our page now, whether they actively follow us or not, but they actively share a lot of stuff and they're suffering. And that's what made me want to do some of this stuff, not just paranormal, because you want to reach out to them and you want to help them, but yeah, we're in this battle and there are demons on people and people are
And they're
getting
in
oppressed.
people. I also do a ritual called spirit extraction, which I guess, I mean, it's not exorcism,
Yeah.
but it is, the shamans do spirit extraction. And so, for instance, if I have a patient that has or a client that has an addiction, there's always going to be spirits in these addictions.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I go in, I merge. I know this doesn't sound Christian, but I've been doing it in the study of the shaman, which is I merge with a spirit animal of mine. And then we go in and attack those spirits, take them out. I put them into the soil of this beautiful planet that God created for us, that I believe has an ability to transmute evil into good. And that's where we grow our food from, is our soil. And so I mean, I think I love this planet. That's the other thing. I love my trees. But that doesn't make me a lesser of a Christian. I remember the old days, and we're talking, God, I've been in practice for over 35 years. When I first went into practice, I wanted to do acupuncture.
Right.
I had Christian patients back then that said, no, that's of the devil.
I don't know. Acupuncture fixed my neck at one point in my life, and I'm thinking about going back to it. So
Exactly.
it works.
And what I did is I counseled with a friend of mine that I knew was very strong in the church. And he did acupuncture. I'm going, well, how did that happen? And he said, I treat Christian patients with acupuncture. How it's a healing tool, right?
Yeah.
It's a healing tool. And then what if I didn't do it and all these Christian patients, you know what I'm saying? It didn't make any sense. And I go, oh yeah. And that's sort of the same thing. Somebody needs to take these spirits out of them.
Yeah.
And if it's me that's going to do it, if God's given me this gift, if the Lord entrusts that with me. Now, with that said, I make sure I keep my eyes on the Lord, because I am kind of, Ryan, we are walking the line a little bit, but so did Jesus.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think of it like that. I say it, but I don't think it really sinks in.
Well, I mean, yeah, Jesus put himself out there on purpose because it was, the whole idea was to expose himself to all of these people, right? So that when he was sacrificed and gave up everything, they would see that he did that for the sins. And that's so sometimes you have to put yourself, you have to go, for lack of better terms, you have to go behind enemy lines sometimes. Right? So it's a matter of, my personal opinion is, it's a matter of being secure in your faith, being comfortable enough to be able to do that without being influenced by anything else. But that's also not an easy thing.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's why we've been struggling so much with, do we keep going forward with some of this stuff? Because yes, it's tempting to just say, yeah, I want to do it because I enjoy this. I like having these conversations. I like doing the investigations. I like the technology aspect of it. I enjoy it. It's fun. Right. But there's also big responsibility behind it. So I've really been struggling with, which side do I fall on? So that's.
Well, what I'll tell you is, don't spend 2 months being in pain just to find the answer.
Yeah.
Like, you can find the answer literally just in prayer. I mean, you guys already, you're a first responder. You already have a difficult job. I mean, I think there are those that are just designed for this.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the other thing.
It's as much as we have such busy lives with our firefighter jobs and her volunteering at the fire department now and the kids and all of this stuff that we do, we keep coming back to this.
Yeah.
And I've been really telling myself, that's it. I'm not doing it. We're gonna make this podcast about talking about God. We're just something, right? We're gonna change the direction, but we keep coming back every time. So obviously that means something. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, because you obviously have already figured that out for yourself.
It just became recent. But I'm going to tell you, it was a 3-year battle. It was a 3-year challenge. And to be honest, I was going to say it started with the something that Anthony said, but that's like somebody kind of throwing a dart and it gets to here and you go, oh no, let me take that arrow and just bring it in real deep.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already something that was this sort of guilt thing in the back of my mind. And remember, guilt is not from God.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
Not in anger or guilt. I mean, that's
So
anger driving people right now. So
I think the one thing is just really just continual prayer on it. Let go of the guilt, let go of the struggle, and just keep your eyes focused on him and prayer about it. I don't care if you ask the question to him 10 times a day. God, am I doing the right thing? I seem to be attracted to this. I want to know if it's you that's getting me there, or if it's something in my ego that's getting me there, or if some demonic spirit is bringing me there.
Yeah,
that's all. And until you just get real secure in the answer, either way, it's going to come. If you start wanting to talk about God on this podcast, I'll be back. But if you want to talk about like even how I can help you guys, when you go into a house and there's spirits and you go, okay, they're there. And then you walk away and they're going, well, wait, what do I do with them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, holler.
Yeah.
Because I do it over well, it's easier to actually go into someone's home, but I do most of my work on Zoom. I do spirit
Right.
exchange. I don't want crazy spirits in my house. I'd rather do that over Zoom.
So let me ask you, how long did it take you to learn to become a shaman?
Took me 4 years, I think.
Wow.
And so that's the other thing. I didn't go to some shamanism conference. First of all, it always drives me nuts, the word shamanism. There really isn't shamanism. It was a shaman. The shaman was the healer and the chief sometimes of the tribe, right? It's ancient. And then all of a sudden somebody decided to make a belief system around it. But it's a person.
Yeah.
And so now I lost track because I do my squirrel thing. What was the question again?
So how did you train for this? Yeah.
So I trained the old fashioned way. I had a teacher. I didn't go to some conference on it and say, oh, good, I'm a shaman today. I didn't learn anything about plant medicine. So I've never done things like peyote or what's the other one that everybody does? All of a sudden,
Ayahuasca.
Thank you. Ayahuasca. My shaman teacher taught from the original, it's core shamanism, but the original shamans, at least, I'm Russian. My maiden name is Savarinsky. And up there, when it started, shaman is actually a Russian word. It was all by rhythm. It was all by drum and rattle and all that sort of thing. But they didn't use medicine. Tobacco might have been one of the things they used.
Right.
They didn't use plant medicine. They didn't use hallucinogenics.
Right.
You learn to sort of bring up your own, what is it, DMT? I think.
Yeah.
You bring that own kind of sort of hallucinogen to sort of start your imagination before you really see what you really see. And it takes years of study.
Right.
And so I was with one-on-one, my shaman teacher for about 4 years.
Yeah, it's funny because it's so easy to go online and watch videos and go, yeah, I'm a shaman now. Just like, I watch things about, because I'm an empath, so they tell me. And I'm always watching videos about how to open my third eye. And I'm like, all right, is it open? I can't feel it. But you watch the 20-second open your chakra. That's probably a little different, but
you know what I've done all that because I have people and I studied it before. You know, I really was close with the Lord, and so I know about the chakras, all that, and I do believe that they're there because I think we are this energy that's there. But opening up the third eye, I think, can be a little bit dangerous.
yeah. I've never successfully, like I said, you go on YouTube and you can watch anything trying to understand what people are telling you. And you're like, all right, well, I'll go watch some videos. And yeah, that's dangerous because like you said, you're messing with something you really don't understand.
Yeah.
So
and even be careful of watching those.
Yeah.
And
I never get very far with them. So.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm
and
like, this is
it's okay to be an empath at the same time. You know, it's funny. People think shamans are empaths. I can go into a crowd and I go to a baseball game. And now if I go to like a club, you know, like somebody's dancing or singing or something like that, then there's only I have 3 cats. Sorry. Damn.
Is that the cat that always gets out? Now you're on a mission.
Oh man, she just went after Juno again. Those particular places, it's like, get me out of here.
Right.
The only reason why I go is if it's somebody I know is singing or something like that. And it's like, I can only stay for so long. But a baseball game, I can stay the whole game like that. But I'm empathic when I'm working. I'm empathic when I'm with the client.
Right.
So just a couple more questions that from your shaman experience and how it relates to your Christianity. What do you think about people that use like Palo Santo in their house or sage and things like that? Do you have to really understand how that works? Can it be dangerous?
Yes. And, you know, I've been listening to I don't know what he is. He lives in Australia. He's I don't know what they call them, but it's Mary Mar. What's his last name? Mary Mar.
It's not Australia.
He lives there though, but yeah, his Mary Mar something. I don't know what he is.
He's an Orthodox priest.
Okay. Yeah. And he doesn't believe in any of that stuff. He goes, that's just all garbage. Get rid of it. But I love to listen to him because he's so intriguing and funny, you know?
What I know, you know, it's funny. What I know about both, that they can be probably a little dangerous. I'll tell you how in a couple ways. I don't use it as much as I used to.
Mm-hmm.
I really do just call in Jesus. Yeah. And I always feel very protected. So sage is usually for protection. And they talk about, sage the house. If you don't know what you're doing, the sage can actually bring up spirits. That's been my experience. Palo Santo is more of a purifier. And this is their qualities, by the way. I mean, this is their herbal qualities. The thing about Palo Santo is you might not want it too pure if like you have a portal, because then they love going towards the pure. Like everybody wants to go towards the light.
Mm-hmm.
Even the demons like go, let me live like on that person that's filled with light.
Yeah, we kind of have a friend that we met. Well, he's in the paranormal world. He's a Navajo Indian. His name's Sean Clinton, and he has a really cool channel, and he tells all his Indian stories and stuff. And he says that you have to be careful doing that because you will put spirits in a place they don't belong.
Absolutely.
So it's better to make an offering of some sort, not like evil offerings. Like they use tobacco, because you mentioned tobacco earlier, and they use tobacco as an offering, you know, just hey, leave me alone. I'll give you this offering and we'll call it good. But
it's within his traditions with Navajo stuff that sage is good, but you might have a spirit hiding in your house that's hiding from something that's bad outside.
Yeah.
And if you cast them away with the sage, now they're out with the bad spirit, right? And that's not what you want. And he refers to the Palo Santo as more of just like, it's good to burn it once in a while because it just kind of keeps the spiritual dust clean.
It's a purifier. So
but not all the time, just once in a while type of thing.
I can't even tell you the last time. Something happened a while ago. And so, but the sage, I saged when I do house clearing, but I'm there making sure everything's taken.
And you have the knowledge behind it. That's the difference. You have it's not like, hey, just go buy some sage and go smoke your house out. You know, you're you have the knowledge and you.
That's what I
you have
tell
purpose
people.
with
Like
it.
they say, well, they said they'd say to me, I sage, and I'm like, that's when I kind of close my eyes and I just shake my head. I go, okay. Because that's what you're right. That's what you hear. I mean, when we talked about bad information, like the games that the young people are playing or some stuff we read or all the violence, it's also kind of the same thing getting into that world. This is all spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
This is all spiritual warfare, whether it's this that we're talking about or whether it's, things that are too violent, movies that are too violent.
Yeah.
Keep our heads in peace. And you guys, like I said, you guys see it. I mean,
Yeah.
as a first responder, this is kind of
Yeah. We see just about all sides of it.
Yeah.
So it's a,
I wouldn't want to do what you do.
So one last question and we'll wrap it up here. What is some of the big red flags that anybody watching this, all of the 2 people watching right now?
That says we have 5.
Okay. All 5 of you. What are some of the big red flags if someone wanted to seek out a shaman where you're going to say, okay, this person is full of it? Like, these are the warning signs to stay away from people that say they're shamans and can do stuff. And these are the things to look for people that are going to be good and actually help you.
Mm.
Is there like a big, infomercial, don't do that type of thing? Or
I guess oh goodness, that's probably the hardest question you threw at me. Because here's the thing, sometimes you just never know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one. I'll give you one. First, maybe they should be in this country. I can't even tell you how many times I've had people who go to African shamans, and they usually are people who try to pull money from people.
Okay.
But you don't know that right away until it's too late. And then they start to threaten you. So but it isn't an obvious red flag because they thought that the person was helping them to begin with. And so when I talk to people, at first I don't charge anything. I want them to meet me.
Right.
For that very reason of the question you're asking. I am a very normal person. Got cats that are running and beating each other up, right? I do my day-to-day. They can tell that my heart is in it and that I want to help them. I don't know how to tell somebody, don't go to that person because they're not going to have your best interests in mind. Because I think it's a lesson everybody has to learn, who to trust, who not. And so I guess my answer to you is that it's individual. They might go to the wrong people and they won't know until after they have figured it out.
So is there like a National Shaman Institute? Is there a place where people go like online and pay a bunch of money to get a piece of paper that says they're a shaman that is probably kind of a scam? Like, those aren't the people you really want to bring into your house?
I think I'm on it too. Shamanic Society. Okay. And so I think you can read through their bios.
And that's a place where you can kind of trust the information that's on there as much as.
Yeah, I think so. Now all of a sudden I forgot the name of it. Let me just make sure it's.
Yeah, I have a hard time getting readings over the phone. You get mediums that want to do the readings over the phone, and I get text messages all the time. Call me, we'll do a reading. To me, I feel like you almost have to be in the presence of somebody, because to me it's very personal, and it's not, like you say, and it's not the African shamans themselves. That's just an example of, those are different countries. They have, I would imagine their cultures are not just like, hey, I'm going to come to the United States and I'm going to shaman you, because I believe their cultures are so different. And that would be a red flag to me. Like, why would you come to here where we're not very cultural anymore? I don't see a whole lot of culture in the United States anymore. But I lived in Hawaii. They're very cultural. But
even when I lived in Texas, like a lot of my clients there were Hispanic Catholics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I won't find that here in Omaha, because the Catholics here in Omaha are like,
yeah.
So, yeah. So I mean, again, I think it's individual. By the
Yeah.
way, that is Society for Shamanic Practice.
Okay.
And I would assume that most of them are good, but again, it might not be everybody. I don't think it took much more for me to give my background and pay my a membership. So I wish I could answer this
Yeah,
question.
it would be even like the people that call us, and some of them are even friends that have friends that have friends, and they trust us. I could see where it would be really easy for me to go into their houses and go, yeah, that's this and this and that. So, and then, hey, you need to pay me. It would be very easy because people are very trusting because they want to trust somebody. So I could see where that would be real easy. Just do your homework, and if it smells funny, then it's funny.
Yeah. I like the way you said that. If it smells funny, it's funny because, and sometimes it's even visual.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just certain, and I guess, again, I'm old, and in my age, I've figured it out, but I figured it out too, because I've been betrayed.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because like in the EMS world, when you first get into EMS, a lot of new people that get in, especially young people, we call them Ricky Rescues. They come out, they have every patch on them, every pair of shears, they got, acrylic stuffed in their pockets, and they're I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just kind of, they can look very professional, like, oh my God, that's
they've got the appearance, but they've, they did the, the 2-week online class, and they don't have the experience.
Yeah.
Right?
They don't have the life experience.
I guess that's a question to ask. That's a question to ask. What's your training?
Yeah.
And that's why I always say, I don't know about the guy that went to a conference and all of a sudden called himself a shaman, or somebody who's been in the corporate world and took even a 6-month course for counseling or something. Even my counseling background was probably 5 years. And so look at stuff like that. That's my best answer to you, Ryan.
Perfect. Well, man, time goes by fast. That's like,
I know. I had a ball, guys.
Well, we'll have to do this.
Probably again. Late where you're at too, so we're gonna stop taking up more of your Sunday here.
8:23. Do you think I'm that old that I go to bed at 8:23?
No, I don't think you're going to bed, but I don't know. Maybe you're opening a beer or something. I don't know.
I actually, I got to take care of my liver with my Hashimoto, so I don't do that. But I do want to. I actually don't think I've eaten dinner yet, so I might eat dinner.
So if people want to reach out to you or contact you, or you want to put your information out there, where can people find you?
Okay. The THE Mama Shaman, all A's. So THEMAMASHAMAN.com.
Can you put that in there, or can I do that from here?
I'll just throw it in the comment section.
Okay.
And then the other is, they could do Dr. Livewell, but they can get a hold of me through the Mama Shaman. It's probably a lot easier.
Okay. And then we do repost these videos, so this will be on our Facebook and our YouTube. So
and I can give you the business phone number too. You ready?
Not yet.
It's a moment of silence.
It is, yeah, awkward silence.
I can't, when I'm on calls and doing my first responder thing, I can do 5,000 things at the same time. But yeah, when I'm doing this, I can't text in.
It's like we don't get down here to practice very much. We're still learning how Facebook and all these technology is weird.
Okay, I'm ready.
402-257-0770. And I do most of what I do literally on Zoom, because I have a lot of patients or clients in Ireland, England, Germany, Malta.
Wow.
Where else do I have? Yeah. So you have no other choice but to do it that way. And even Dr. Livewell is predominantly telehealth. So
well, that's good. I like it. You're reaching out. You're positively affecting a lot of people from all over the place. So that's awesome. So thank you for coming and have a conversation with us. That was awesome.
I've been waiting for this for a long time. Don't put me off this long anymore.
Well, we'll have to have a sequel here pretty soon then.
Okay, sounds great.
Right. So stay in the waiting room so we can say bye to you. And,
yes.
We're going to play some outros and stuff, but we'll come talk to you in a minute.
Okay. Actually, you have to put me back there.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. That was awesome. So,
All right. Well, reach out to her. I put her contact information in the comments on both the YouTube and the Facebook side. So reach out to her. You can look her up. We'll also, when we post this on YouTube, we can put all of her information in the description.
Yeah, hopefully it just
So-
all went over there, but I always go back and repost.
We'll double check it and we'll put it in a couple places. So,
All right. Well, have a good Sunday night and thanks for being here.
all right.
Toodles.